Imagine waking up and you just don't know if you're real, or if maybe the whole world around you is just someone else's dream. That's the kind of mind-bending spot our focus character is in today.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging right into Star Trek. Voyager, the episode projections.
And you, our listener, you've given us some fantastic stuff to dig into here. We've got the IMDb plot summary, bits of the script.
And the Wikipedia page, Memory Alpha, for the deep Trekkie details.
Plus that StarQuest Media YouTube discussion, which was interesting, and a review from Reactor 2. So a good mix.
Definitely. So the mission really is to unpack this really complex story. It's all about one character where their whole reality just gets thrown into doubt.
We're going to look at the twists, the sort of philosophical ideas underneath.
And maybe why this one still clicks with people, you know?
Absolutely. So the big question we're tackling in this deep dive is, what does it actually mean to be real? And I guess, how would we even know?
Okay, let's dive in. It kicks off hard. The doctor activates, red alerts blaring.
And the ship seems totally empty, like ghost ship territory.
Exactly. And the computer backs that up. No crew detected, warp cores offline, structural damage, the whole 9 yards, shields, weapons, all down.
Classic Starfleet emergency setup, almost.
Pretty much. Sets a really grim tone right away.
And the bridge log. It suggests the crew just left, abandoned ship.
Right. After a supposed Kazan attack that led to a warp core breach. Seems plausible in a horrible way.
It does. So the doctor, finding himself all alone in this mess.
Well, his programming kicks in. He figures, okay, my job here is done, and he actually tries to terminate his own program.
But then, just as he's about to, Torres beams in, or appears somehow.
Yeah, suddenly she's there, and she's like, whoa, hold on. Internal sensors were knocked out.
Ah, okay, so not everyone evacuated. She says she and Captain Janeway are still aboard.
And she mentions something really key here, something from the script details. New holographic emitters. Recently installed all over the ship.
Right, the ones that let him project himself outside sickbay.
Exactly, a mobile emitter, basically. Before the mobile emitter, lets him move around freely. Big upgrade.
So he's not stuck anymore. And Torres needs his help because Janeway's hurt.
Yep, injured on the bridge. So the doctor heads up there, finds Janeway, treats her, thinks it's a concussion.
Okay, so far, so weird, but maybe still within the realm of a standard Voyager crisis.
For a moment, maybe. But that feeling doesn't last long at all.
Because next he's called to the mess hall.
And he finds Neelix. Well, Neelix is fighting a Kazan.
Okay.
But he's fighting him with, fruit and vegetables. Projectiles.
Seriously, weaponized produce.
Pretty much. It's kind of funny, but then things take a very sharp, very weird turn.
This is the bleeding part, isn't it?
That's it. After the Kazan skirmish, the doctor looks down and sees he's actually bleeding. And he feels pain from the wound.
Which should be completely impossible for a hologram.
Absolutely impossible. That's the first huge crack in his reality.
So he tries to figure out what's going on, run a diagnostic.
And the computer drops another bombshell. It tells him he's not the EMH.
He's not the doctor.
No. The computer identifies him as Dr. Louis Zimmerman, his creator, the actual human being.
Whoa, okay. That changes everything. His entire identity is just pulled out from under him.
Completely. And just as he's trying to process this impossibility.
And walks another hologram. Or appears another hologram.
Reginald Barclay, of all people, from TNG, shows up as a hologram.
Okay, Barclay, so what's his story?
He introduces himself as Zimmerman's assistant, back on Jupiter Station.
Jupiter Station, not Voyager.
Exactly. Barclay spins this whole yarn. He says the doctor is Louis Zimmerman, and he's not on Voyager in the Delta Quadrant at all.
Where then?
He's supposedly trapped inside a Voyager simulation on a holodeck. Back at Jupiter Station.
It's a simulation. Why?
Well, according to Barclay, Zimmerman built this incredibly complex simulation. The Memory Alpha page goes into this. It was designed to study the psychological effects of long-term isolation.
On Starfleet and McKee's crews. Whoa. Talk about immersive research. Maybe a bit unethical.
Definitely raises questions, doesn't it? And Barclay adds another layer of urgency. He talks about radiation.
Radiation.
Affecting the simulation.
Affecting the real Zimmerman inside the simulation. Kinoplasmic radiation, he calls it. Poisoning him.
And that's why he thinks he's the doctor. It's a symptom.
That's Barclay's claim. The radiation is causing the delusion, the identity confusion.
So what's the solution, according to Barclay? This is getting complicated.
Drastic. Barclay says the only way to break the malfunctioning simulation and save the real Zimmerman's life is to destroy the simulated Voyager. from the inside.
Destroy Voyager, even a simulated one, that's a huge ask.
Huge pressure, and the doctor, understandably, is like, wait, what? He's skeptical.
I would be too, so he starts testing things.
Right. He asks the computer about the crew again, Janeway, Paris, everyone.
And the computer says,
It insists they're all just holographic programs, part of the simulation.
okay, that must be unsettling. And then there's that really chilling moment the reactor review mentioned. Barclay supposedly shuts down the holographic systems.
And Janeway and the others just vanish.
Poof, they flicker out of existence. But the doctor, he remains solid.
That would be pretty convincing evidence for Barclay's story, wouldn't it?
Very convincing. It really seems to support the idea that he is the only real thing there, or rather, Zimmerman is.
So Barclay keeps pushing this reality.
Oh, yeah. He even restarts the simulation and throws the doctor back into the events of Caretaker.
The Voyager pilot, his very first activation.
Yep. Imagine reliving your first moments, but now believing none of it was real. The disorientation must be immense.
So does the doctor buy it? Does he accept he's Zimmerman?
For a while, it seems like he does. He's shaken. The evidence seems strong. He actually prepares to initiate the self-destruct sequence.
He's going to destroy the simulated Voyager.
He gets right to the brink of it, believing it's the only way to save himself, the real Zimmerman.
Something stops him.
Something, or rather, someone. Just as he's about to do it, Chakotay appears.
Chakotay. Okay, now what? Another twist.
A massive one. Chakotay shows up and flat out says Barclay is lying.
Lying. So the doctor isn't Zimmerman.
According to Chakotay, no. He says the doctor is the EMH. He is on the real Voyager.
But trapped. How?
Trapped in a holodeck malfunction on Voyager. This matches the Wikipedia summary, too.
A holodeck malfunction. Caused by what?
That same kinoplasmic radiation surge Barclay mentioned. But Chakotay says it happened on Voyager while the doctor was running a holonovel.
Ah, so the radiation affected Voyager systems, trapping the doctor in his own program.
Exactly. Created a feedback loop, basically. He's stuck in this generated reality.
Okay, so if Chakotay's right, then Barclay?
Barclay isn't real either. According to Chakotay, Barclay is just another simulation, generated by the doctor's own malfunctioning program.
Wow, so Barclay is part of the delusion, not the rescuer.
That's the counter-narrative, and Chakotay gives a dire warning, too.
Which is?
If the doctor destroys the simulation like Barclay wants him to.
He won't be saving Zimmerman.
He'll be destroying himself, erasing his own program because of that feedback loop.
My head is spinning. So who does he believe? Barclay saying destroy it to live? Or Chakotay saying destroy it and die?
Exactly. He's caught right in the middle. Two totally conflicting realities, both with seemingly credible messengers. It's a battle for belief.
And Barclay doesn't make it easy, does he? He brings in Keys.
Uh-huh. He projects a hologram of Keys, claiming she's Zimmerman's wife, trying to add emotional weight to the Jupiter Station story.
Just piling on the confusion. How's the doctor holding up through all this?
Not well. He's still feeling that impossible pain. He mentions memory degradation, which Barclay, of course, spins as more proof of the radiation poisoning affecting Zimmerman's brain.
So the doctor tries more tests. He gets pretty desperate.
Yeah, he does. He starts taking drastic measures. He actually tries deleting some of the crew holograms himself, Paris and Kim.
Does it work?
They vanish. Which could support either reality, really. Is he controlling the simulation or just interacting with faulty holograms on the holodeck?
Then he tries Janeway.
Attempts to delete Janeway, but she persists. She doesn't delete.
Why not?
Barclay dismisses it, says it's just the program degrading further, glitches in the system because of the radiation, always an explanation.
It's like reality itself is slippery. He can't get a firm grip.
Exactly. So he decides on a bigger test, something more fundamental.
The holographic memory core?
Yep. He goes to engineering, finds the core that supposedly runs all the ship's holograms, including himself, if Barclay is right.
His logic being, if he destroys that, and he is a hologram,
he should cease to exist. It's the ultimate test.
And the result?
He destroys it. Big explosion, but the doctor is still standing, unaffected.
So, that proves Barclay is lying, right? He should have deactivated.
You'd think so. But Barclay doubles down. He's incredibly persistent.
What's his explanation now?
He claims the entire ship, including that core, is just another layer of the simulation. A simulation within a simulation.
Oh, come on. That's just moving the goalposts infinitely.
It is. It's designed to keep the doctor doubting, to keep him on track to destroy the real target, the warp core.
Which Barclay still insists will save Zimmerman.
Right. So the doctor, maybe out of options, maybe still confused, prepares to destroy the warp core. The ultimate act.
Is this it? Does he do it?
He gets right up to the point of firing, and then Chakotay reappears.
Again, what's different this time?
This time, Chakotay reveals he's actually a projection from engineering, from the holodeck control station.
Ah, so he's intervening directly from outside the simulation, or rather, the malfunction.
Kind of. He reiterates his explanation. Doctor was on the holodeck, running a program for fun.
His day off, maybe?
Yeah, could be. Then the radiation surge hits Voyager systems, affecting the holodeck's imaging system, creating the feedback loop.
And the pain he felt.
Yeah.
The memory issues.
That was his own program, his memory circuits starting to degrade because of the radiation feedback. Not physical pain, but system damage manifesting as sensation.
Okay, that actually makes a strange kind of sense within the technobabble.
It does. And Chakotay hammers home the key point one last time: destroy the simulation.
And you destroy yourself, game over for the Doctor.
And with that final clarification, the whole illusion just dissolves.
And he's back. Where?
You're back in sickbay, on Voyager, looking perfectly normal, unharmed.
And the crew. They confirm what really happened.
Yep. They confirm there was a kinoplasmic radiation surge that affected the holodeck systems, but no Kazan attack, no abandonment. It was all contained within the holodeck malfunction.
Phew. Okay, so Chakotay was telling the truth.
Seems so, and we get that little tidbit about Barclay's actual connection.
Oh yeah, he wasn't just some random TNG character pulled in.
No, Memory Alpha notes he was apparently part of the original team that designed the EMH program, specifically worked on the interpersonal skills side of things.
The irony. The guy who tested his people skills ends up being the holographic gaslighter.
Pretty ironic, yeah. Adds another layer to why maybe his program generated that particular figure as the antagonist.
And then there's that little moment with Keese at the end.
Right. The Doctor makes some sort of comment, totally platonic from his perspective.
And Keese gives him this look, this kind of knowing smile, referencing the simulated marriage Barclay tried to use.
It's a nice touch, shows the experience lingered, even if it wasn't real in the objective sense.
And the very final scene, the Doctor alone in sickbay.
Yeah, he looks at his hand, then deliberately sticks his arm right through the sickbay door emitter.
Just to remind himself, to confirm.
To confirm he's still a hologram, that part is real, but he has this little smile. Maybe a hints of doubt, or maybe just contemplation about everything he went through. It leaves you thinking.
So when you boil it all down, what are we left with? Projections. Just throws you, and the Doctor right into this deep end exploring identity. What's real?
And it's so effective because it's his perspective. We only know what he knows. Feel his confusion.
It really taps into some big philosophical stuff, doesn't it? Like Descartes.
I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum. Yeah, very much so. The writer, Brandon Braga, talked about that wrestling with what defines existence.
Is it just being physical? Or is it consciousness, experience, thought, even simulated pain?
If something thinks, feels, relates, does it matter if it started as photons and force fields? Especially now with AI discussions, it feels very relevant.
It really does. And for the Doctor's character arc across the whole series, this episode is huge. It blurs the line between hologram and person right from the start.
Sets up his whole journey, his desire for rights, recognition, maybe even, humanity.
You can see why places like Business Insider and Gizmodo call it underrated, a must-watch. It packs a punch.
Definitely. And you mentioned Jonathan Frakes directed this one.
Yeah, and reviewers often praise his handling of the tension.
Plus, the acting Robert Picardo as the Doctor is fantastic, and his scenes with Dwight Schultz as Barclay just crackle. Great chemistry.
It's interesting that they considered Geordi LaForge first.
Yeah, but you can see why Barclay worked better, can't you? His sort of anxious, slightly off-kilter energy makes him a more believable source of this kind of elaborate deception, maybe.
That's a good point. Geordi might have been too straightforward, too trustworthy.
Barclay fits that psychological game perfectly.
So this whole deep dive into projections, it really just scratches the surface, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much there. We really hope listeners might go back and watch it again, maybe think about some of this stuff.
Yeah, like, which reality seemed most convincing to you while you were watching? Was there a point where you bought into Barclay's story?
And what other questions pop up? About AI consciousness? What is the reality we take for granted every day? We'd genuinely love to hear people's thoughts on that.
Well, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until our next exploration. Keep questioning, keep learning.
And maybe, keep an eye on those flickering lights. You never know.